If you've ever done much traveling, you know how helpful it can be to have the services of a travel guide who knows the area and can point out things you might have missed on your own. I've often thought that this kind of assistance would also be beneficial whenever you move to a new, unfamiliar location. As a travel agent and an experienced traveler herself, Laura Harrigan is often called upon to host guided tours to different locations. Laura is also an experienced computer user. And since she's recently moved from Windows 3.1 to Windows 95, we've asked her to give us a tour of the system.
Thanks, Jane. I'd be delighted to show you around Windows 95. I always like to make sure my travel clients know what to expect, so I want to point out a couple of things before we start. First of all, you'll be happy to know that on this trip, you won't have to worry about learning a foreign language. And since my travel agency specializes in custom tour packages, you can choose your own specific destinations by clicking one of the topics on the right.
The taskbar is the starting point for most everything you want to do in Windows 95. Just click the Start button to bring up a menu of choices, with which you can quickly find and start a program. Find out more about the taskbar by clicking the Windows Basics Studio Light. The Programs menu in Windows 95 replaces Program Manager in Windows 3.1 and 3.11. If you upgrade from a previous version of Windows, Windows 95 will automatically transfer the contents of your program groups to the Programs menu. You can find more information on running and managing programs by clicking the Programs Studio Light. Use the Documents menu to see the 15 most recently opened documents. Selecting a document from this menu will start the program that created it and load the document, saving you time from browsing or searching for the document you want. You can learn more about creating and working with documents by clicking the Documents and Files Studio Light. Settings gives you quick access to the control panel, as well as printer and taskbar settings. For example, use the Settings menu to open the printer's window. Select the printer that you would like to use and set it as the default printer. Find out more about settings by clicking the Changing Settings and Customizing light. Windows 95 has greatly enhanced the search feature included with Windows 3.1. The Find menu can be used to find files, folders, or other computers on the network. It can also be used to search the Microsoft network. You can learn more about Find by clicking the Documents and Files light. Help in Windows 95 is now easier to use and more consistent than in previous Windows versions. It is easily accessible at all times from the Start menu. Use the Contents tab to browse through Help topics by category. Index will give you a list of index entries. Use the list to find the word you're looking for or type it in. Click Find to search for words or phrases in a Help topic. Get more information on Help by clicking the Windows Basics Studio Light. Run is used to enter a command line to open a program, folder, or document. Learn how to use Run by clicking the Programs light. Shutdown will perform a safe shutdown or restart. It will prompt you to save any unsaved documents. It can also be used to log you off the computer. New icons like My Computer and Network Neighborhood make working with files, wherever they may be, easier. To remove unwanted files, drag them into Recycle Bin. Recycle Bin can later be emptied to permanently delete these files. Find out more by clicking the Documents and Files Studio Light. Installing the Microsoft Network option will place its icon on the desktop. Microsoft Network is an online information service that gives you access to electronic mail, bulletin boards, the Internet, news, and reference information. When you choose to install the Microsoft Mail, Microsoft Network, or Microsoft Fax options, the Inbox icon will appear on the desktop. Inbox organizes and gives access to electronic mail and shared files. To learn more about these features, click the Using a Network Studio Light. There are several new and improved features in Windows 95. For example, File names are no longer limited to 8 characters with a 3-character extension. You can create file names up to 255 characters in length, including spaces. When you give a file a long name, Windows 95 automatically creates an 8-character file name to retain compatibility with systems not running Windows 95. Right-clicking is a term that describes using the right mouse button to perform a command. Right-clicking an object will display a menu containing context-sensitive commands, like properties and shortcuts. To view and modify information about an item, for example, a document or a hard drive, right-click it and select the Properties command. Properties are organized into categories represented by tabs that you can click. Once you've viewed or changed an item's properties, choose OK to save the changes and close the dialog box. Shortcuts lets you quickly access items you use often, like documents, programs, printers, or even shared folders on a network. A shortcut is simply a pointer to another location. To create a shortcut to an item, right-click the item and choose Create Shortcut. A shortcut icon, identified by an arrow on the icon, will be created. File Manager in Windows 3.1 and 3.11 has been replaced by Windows Explorer. Choose Programs from the Start menu and select Windows Explorer. The Windows Explorer is used for browsing, moving, copying, deleting, and organizing your programs and documents. It is covered in more detail under the Documents and Files Studio Light. To allow you to move to Windows 95 at your own pace, Microsoft has included Windows 95 versions of Program Manager and File Manager. To run Program Manager, use the Start menu to select the Run command and type Progman at the command line. You can also start the Windows 95 File Manager using the Run command or open it from within Program Manager. To install Windows 95, Microsoft recommends you have at least a 386DX-based computer with 4 megabytes of RAM. Existing hardware, such as CD-ROM drives and sound cards, should work fine with Windows 95. In addition, new plug-and-play devices are supported by Windows 95. When you're ready to move to Windows 95, insert its CD-ROM or the first floppy disk in the install set and run the setup.exe program. The Windows 95 Setup Wizard will lead you through the 3 main parts of the installation: collecting information, copying Windows 95 files, and restarting your computer. It will ask you plain English questions about the type of setup you want and prompt you to answer questions when required. Most users with a desktop computer and a modem will choose the typical setup and options like Microsoft Mail, Microsoft Network Online Service, and Microsoft Fax. Setup of Windows 95 can take between 30 and 60 minutes, depending on your configuration and the capabilities of your system.
Welcome back. I hope you found your tour both interesting and informative. Now that you've seen how the different features work, you should be able to find your way around Windows 95 on your own. But before I leave you to it, I have a few tips I'd like to share. Remember that free space on a disk drive is a property of the drive. So, if you want to find out how much free space is left on the drive, right-click the drive's icon to access its properties. And if you find yourself low on hard disk space, and you've already removed all the unnecessary files and programs you can, open Add Remove Programs in the Control Panel and click the Windows Setup tab. By removing Windows components or accessories you don't need, you could free up several megabytes of disk space.
Laura's always got great tips, whether she's talking about travel or computers. Here's another tip. When you've finished working for the day, do not simply turn your PC off. Always use the shutdown command from the Start button. Windows 95 maintains an internal disk cache, and it must be able to save or update the desktop. Simply turning your PC off will almost inevitably lead to some loss of data. And if you don't shut down your computer at night, you can turn off your monitor to save power.